Hello everyone. Welcome to one of the best games that was actually played in the FIDE World Cup. This game was played a couple of days back. The game was played between Bhaskaran Adiban and Vidit Gujarati, two very strong grandmasters from India who are playing out each other for a place in the fourth round of the World Cup. So this is the second game of their match, and the first game was won by Vidit, who had to play brilliantly to overcome Bhaskaran's very strong home preparation. And now Adiban is in a must-win situation in this game to force tie breaks. And this game is just full of possibilities, full of threats, where almost every move comes with a deadly threat. And without making you guys wait any further, let's probably just dive straight into this game. So Adiban has the white pieces, and Vidit has the black pieces. So Adiban opens with one c4. We have c5, knight f3, knight f6, knight c3, and knight c6. So we have the symmetrical variation, or the four knights variation of the English. So we have e3 preparing d4. We have e5. We have d4. E captures d4. E captures d4, and d5 attacking the c4 pawn. We have bishop to g5, pinning this knight on f6. We have c captures d4, attacking the knight. We have knight captures d5, and with it develops the light square bishop to e6, attacking the knight and trying to see if he can win a pawn here once the pawn captures on d5. So Adiban prevents this. He plays queen to b3. We have bishop captures d5, pawn captures d5, attacking the knight, and we have bishop to b4 with check. So obviously the bishop cannot be captured because the knight is defending the bishop. So Adiban moves the king to d1. Probably instead of moving the king to d1, he could also consider playing something like moving the bishop back to d2, offering a trade of light square, dark square bishops. And once the trade happens, he can develop the light square bishop with pin and then choose to castle. But instead, Adiban has a completely different plan, and you will see what it is. So we have king to d1. Queen captures d5, so with it wins a pawn and offers a queen trade. With it would probably be satisfied with a draw here in this game, because a draw is more than sufficient for him to advance to the next round. So we have bishop to c4 with a queen, with a nice queen bishop battery attacking the queen and also x-raying the f7 pawn. So the queen has to draw back to d7 to keep defending the f7 pawn. We have bishop to b5, pinning the knight, and with it moves the queen to d6, defending the bishop here, because Adiban's plan is probably to eliminate the defender of this bishop on b4 and then win a piece. So with it prevents it, he plays queen to d6. We have a3, asking the bishop to move. We have bishop to a5, and bishop captures f6. We have g captures f6, and instead of g captures f6, we could also see something like a queen captures f6. And after this, we would probably see something like bishop captures c6 with check. We have b captures c6. And notice that there's no real danger of possibly bringing the rook to e1 with check and attacking, because the bishop always covers the e1 square. So we would have something like queen to a4, attacking the pawn and the bishop. Queen f5. After queen c6, after queen captures c6 and king e7, you now connect the rooks. You don't have any major threats of bringing the rook with check, because as we said, the bishop covers the even square. And if white still wants to execute this particular plan, he would have to play something like b4, attack the bishop, but immediately we would have something like rook c8, connecting the rooks again, bringing the rook into the game, trying to move the king to a safety square inside f8, and this comes with tempo, as it comes with an attack on the queen. So you would always be able to wiggle out of this. But with it prefers a different plan. So after bishop captures f6, he goes g captures f6, and now we have queen to a4 with another addition, which comes with an attack on the bishop again, that obviously after the knight is eliminated. And this also puts more pressure on the knight. The bishop moves to b6, and we have rook to c1, adding more pressure to on the c file. We have rook to c8 defending, and king to c2. As we discussed, Adiban wants to move the king to c2, and then slowly to b1, and then he wants to artificially castle, and then the king will be very safe on b1 and a1 and a2. So uh, with it just castles, moves the king to safety, moves the king away from the center, and Adiban continues with his plan. Moves the king to b1. We have knight to e5, offering a rook trade on the c file, and also a knight trade on e5. Adiban obliges. He plays knight captures e5, pawn captures e5, and then now he Vidit has two connected passed pawns in the center. I mean, this is every chess player's dream to have two connected passed pawns in the center. So Adiban immediately brings the bishop back to d3 to prevent the pushing of these passed pawns. And we have a rook trade on the c file. So we have rook captures c1, rook captures c1, and Vidit actually plays f6. He plays f5 with the idea of slowly planning to push e4, and slowly storm these pawns down the center, so that he can surely definitely win the game. So Adiban prevents this. He plays f3. We have king to h8, a nice prophylactic move, getting the king away from any of these checks on the c4 square, either by the bishop or by the queen. So we have queen to b5, starting to slowly pile up on the e5 pawn. At the moment, yes, the queen does defend it, but Adiban is actually planning to play rook to e1, where both the queen and the rook will be attacking the e5 pawn, and the rook cannot come into the game as of now to defend the e5 pawn, because the rook would be hanging. So Vidit prepares to bring the rook into the game to defend the c5 pawn. He plays queen to e7. We have queen to d5, a nice centralizing move by Adiban. We have a rook to d8, and we have queen to b3. And now that there is sufficient support for Vidit to push the pawns, he does execute e4. We have f captures e4 with an attack on the bishop, and Adiban knows that he has to prevent the pushing of these passed pawns, because if that happens, then it's probably game over for Adiban. So he plays rook to e1, pinning the pawn, so the bishop cannot be captured, and this also comes with a double attack on the pawn. So Vidit has to advance this. He plays pawn to e3, and we have rook f1. This is probably a very silent move, but it comes again with a deadly threat. So the threat here is to execute rook to f7, where the queen and the rook cover the f7 square. So this would come with an attack on the queen, and once the queen moves anywhere, the next plan would be to attack the h7 pawn with check, and then if that happens, then it's going to be checkmate, because the queen covers this long diagonal, the bishop and the rook. If it hits this h7 square, it's going to be checkmate. So Vidit has to prevent this. So he plays king g7, adds another defender to the f7 square, and Adiban plays queen to d1. And this queen to d1 comes with a really deadly threat. So the plan that Adiban has is to play queen to h5, which would come with a deadly attack which would come with a double attack on the h7 pawn. And probably this was the last moment for Vidit to defend properly, where he should have gone something like king to h8, and either ask for Adiban whether you want to move the queen back to b3 and then force a draw by repetition, or ask questions like how do you want it. So if the king had moved to h8, Adiban, if he wants to still continue his plan and then move the queen to h5, after queen h5 we would have e2. So the bishop would be forced to capture the pawn on e2, because if the queen captures, Vidit would be more than happy to exchange queens and probably play this endgame with equal material. So we would have something like bishop to e3, bishop captures e2, but If the bishop captures on e2, then it frees up one of the most important and crucial squares for the queen, where the queen could come into the game with check on e4. So once the king moves to a2, we will have d3 with an attack on the bishop. And once the bishop moves to g4, we would have queen c4 check, king a1, and bishop d4 x-raying the pawn on b2. Um, and once Vidit plays something like bishop f5 with a threat of checkmate, Vidit could just simply capture this pawn on b2, and this bishop will have to be accepted, because if you don't accept the bishop and move your king anywhere, you're just getting checkmated. The a2 square as of now is off limits, but if you move your king to b1, then queen to c2 would just be checkmate. So once the king is accepted, then it's a draw by threefold repetition, where we'll have queen c2 with check, king a1, queen c3 check, king b1, queen c2 check, king a1, and this will probably be a draw by threefold repetition. So this was probably one of the last chances that Vidit had to probably draw this game and save this game. But after queen to d1, Vidit just pushed e2 with the idea of probably blocking this diagonal to prevent the queen from reaching the h5 square, and hoping that Adhiban plays queen captures e2 with, so that he can trade queens. But from this moment onwards, Adhiban plays the absolute best moves to just crush with it completely. So he immediately grabs back the pawn. He plays bishop captures e2, and we have rook to f8, offering a trade of rooks. But Adhiban declines the trade of rooks. He moves the rook to h1. We have king to h8, bishop to d3, slowly x-raying the pawn on h7. We have bishop to a5, and this was probably not one of the best moves, because Adhiban immediately takes advantage of this move. He immediately plays queen to a4, attacking the pawn on a5, and also the pawn bishop on e5, and also the pawn on d4. So Vidit has to play bishop b6 to continue to defend the pawn. But now he brings the rook back into the game with rook to c1. We have queen to e3 with an attack on the bishop. We have rook to d1 defending the bishop. Queen e6, and queen to b4 attacking the rook on f8. We have a rook to e8, getting the rook out of danger, and we have a rook to f1 again. So again, if black is not careful, then the plan is to probably play a rook to f8 with check, and once and if the rook captures, then queen to f8 would be checkmate. So this has to be prevented. So Vidit plays queen to e7, and we have queen to b5. Queen to b5 again comes a seemingly very quiet move, comes with a deadly threat again, where Adhiban is slowly remaneuvering the queen to move to the h5 square. So Vidit plays bishop f6. The bishop is guarded by the queen, and he prevents Adhiban from moving the queen to h5. And Adhiban plays queen to b3 with the threat of executing queen b3, rook b3, which would come with an attack on the queen again. And we already discussed the same checkmating pattern. And rook captures h7 would actually be checkmate. So we have rook f8, and now Adhiban accepts the rook trade because the queen is actually overloaded. It has to take care of the rook on f8. She has to take care of the pawn on b7. So we have queen captures f8, and Adhiban grabs another pawn. He plays queen captures b7. We have queen e7 offering another queen trade, and now we have queen c8 with check, king g7, and queen f5 with a nice battery attacking the h7 pawn again. We have king h8 defending the pawn, and we have g4. Adhiban now slowly starts to push all his pawns. He's up a pawn now, and he wants to push his pawns up to victory. So we have bishop d6 attacking the pawn on h2, and Adhiban pushes g5 nevertheless. He says that I have my own ways of defending the h2 pawn. I will anyways grab the h7 pawn with check. So that's not going to be a problem. So with it grabs the pawn on h2. We have queen c8 with check, king g7, and we have queen to h3 attacking the bishop and also attacking the pawn on h7. So once the bishop moves to e5, Adiban plays queen h7 with check, king f8. This is probably forced. This is the only square available for the king. We have queen to f5 with check, king to e8, and now g6. G6 again, a very simple move but a very powerful move, which comes with a very powerful threat of playing queen to c8 check, and this would be catastrophic. So we have king to d8, and instead of king to d8, a more resilient move could have been queen to c7. But again, this is just trying to prolong the game as much as possible. So after king to d8, we have queen to e4, king hits king c7, queen d5, bishop g7, and bishop e4. Again, preparing some deadly threats. Queen d7 offering a queen trade, and now just Adiban goes for it. He says that I have a passed pawn on the g file. I'm very confident of winning this particular endgame. And even though with it seemingly has a passed pawn on the d file, this pawn is never crossing the d3 square because the bishop does a wonderful job of covering the pawn on d3. So we have king to d7. The queen trade is accepted, and now Adiban just goes for a simple endgame. We have b4, king e6, king c2. Adiban brings the king into the game as well. We have bishop h7, king b3, bishop c1 with an attack on the a3 pawn. Bishop d3, just giving black a move, asking him what exactly do you want to do. And after king f6, we have a4, king g7, king c4. Adiban is slowly marching his king up the board. And bishop d2, king b5, bishop e1, king a6, bishop captures b4, king captures a7, bishop a6, king a6 attacking the bishop, and bishop c7. And after Adiban finally played king to b5, it was in this position that Vidit Gujarati finally decided to resign the game, as there's seriously nothing more to be done. So the king cannot move from any of these squares, and if it actually moves, then the g pawn is going to quickly queen and win the game. This pawn is slowly going to be marching up the board, and there's nothing that is going to stop the pawn, because black does not have bishop b6 to prevent the pawn from reaching the a7 square. And as we said earlier, the d pawn is completely blocked. Once black gives up the bishop for the a pawn, white's plan is going to be very simple: to slowly march the king, capture the pawn on the d file, and slowly but surely move the king to the f7 square, from where he'll be able to promote the g pawn to a queen. So yes, after Adiban played king to b5, it was in this position that Vidit Gujarati finally decided to resign the game, and Adiban finally managed to bounce back. I mean, this game was just a fantastic game with so many possibilities, and kudos to Adiban for forcing tie breaks from a must-win situation. So yes, the tie breaks have been played. So Vidit was finally able to win the tie breaks. The first set of rapid games was tied. The blitz game was tied, and it was only in the third tie breaks blitz that Vidit was able to win the game. And Vidit finally advances to the fourth round, and Adiban is actually knocked out from this tournament. So yes, that's the game. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you want to check out any of my previous videos, you can find it here, and continue following the channel for the coverage of some wonderful games. Thank you a lot, and have a nice day. Bye.